Good afternoon, this is Pete from FigLife.com, and today I'm going to look at this fig called Cessac. It is a fig that has had a lot of, well, I guess you have to call it hype around it for about a year now. But there's also been a lot of good reports about the taste of this fig, coming from all across the country. People have said a lot of good things about the flavor of this fig, comparing it to some of the best varieties out there. So this will be my first time trying this variety, and I'm excited to see what it tastes like. Okay, so deep in this fig jungle here is the tree known as Cessac. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's this one right here, and it's growing really well for me. You can see how big it is, quite large, and there's actually a couple of different stems coming off of this, so you know, I've got a lot of growth on this tree. This kind of had an interesting growth pattern. I started it kind of early winter as a cutting. I rooted it, and then I grew it over grow lights, and it got pretty good size under the grow lights. It was one of my larger ones under the grow lights. You know, it was maybe like this tall or whatever, with multiple stems. And then what happened is it kind of stalled out. In early spring, it stopped growing when I brought it outside, and it just kind of stayed that way for a couple months, 2 or 3 months, and then it just started exploding in growth again, kind of like a second wind, and has put on just a huge amount of growth the rest of the year here. And I've seen that happen with several trees. TC12 actually did something similar, where I started it under the grow lights, and then it grew really well, and then it kind of stalled out for a couple months as I moved it outside. But then it really started growing again, although not quite as much as this one. This one has really kind of exploded in the last month or so. So, yeah, that's the tree. As I mentioned, it's grown really well. It's got a fair amount of figs on it. Here's some figs. I wouldn't say, well, I guess it's got about a fig on every node, almost. So it's putting on a lot of figs there. I don't know how many of those are going to ripen, though. I doubt that all of those will ripen, just because some of the growth came on kind of late. But I will get some to ripen. And in fact, I just picked one just a minute ago. So let's go take a look at the fruit. My first fruit off this Cessac tree. All right, here it is. Cessac fruit. Elusive, expensive, hopefully quite tasty. But we shall find out here in just a second. So this is actually, I think, the most expensive fig tree that was ever purchased on FigBid was the Cessac tree. It was quite surprising to see those numbers. I think that's why I say there was a little bit of hype about this tree. I think when you get up in numbers as high as this fig was selling for, I think you're talking about a little bit of hype in those cases. But that's all right. It's come down to be a more affordable variety now, although still fairly expensive to get a hold of. But a lot of good things continue to be said about the flavor of this fruit. Hopefully it's not all hype. Hopefully it's based on some legitimate good qualities that this fig has. So let me go ahead and cut this fig open, and we'll see what the inside looks like. All right, there it is. Cessac. Looking good. I'm happy to see that. That looks to be fully ripe. And hopefully it'll taste pretty good. Some people have compared it to Smith in terms of flavor and maybe even the look of it. And just visually, it does kind of have a similar sort of look. Not that I'm saying they're the same, but just a similar sort of look to the fig. Yeah, that looks really good. All right, let me try this fig. All right. Well, this is exciting. This is it's always fun to try new varieties, especially for the first time, especially ones that have had a lot of good things said about them. And there have been a fair number of growers now that have ripened this fig, and it seems like everybody's saying good things about it. Just the other day, somebody was comparing it to Smith. Other people have just said it has a really good flavor. So we'll see. And sometimes the first fig you get off a tree just isn't as good as the figs you get later on, but hopefully this one is good. And this does look to be fully ripe. So here it goes. Yeah, really good. Really good. Let me try one more. Yeah, really good flavor. It's got that same sort of sweetness level that I would expect from Smith. Although for me, this one in particular, this particular fig, and it may not be representative of all future figs I eat off this tree, but this particular fig is a little bit more juicy. It's a little bit more juicy than the Smith fig, and maybe just a little bit less berry flavor. But again, first fig off the tree, so you know this could develop more of a berry flavor. It does have a berry flavor, but a stronger berry flavor as the season progresses. But a really good tasting fig. Oh yeah, that one had a little more sweetness and flavor to it. That piece did. I feel like the skin is a little bit different than Smith. You know, Smith has kind of an unusual skin to it. It's like almost like a spongy sort of quality to the skin of Smith. And actually, Algerian Chatouille has that same sort of quality. This one, the skin seems a little bit different to me. It seems like a harder skin, whereas Smith is a little bit softer and more spongy. This one is a little bit harder skin to it. Not bad at all, just sort of a different quality in that respect than Smith. But good fig so far. So that was my first fruit off the Cessac tree. And looking forward to many more. That was a tasty fig, and it seems like this variety and this tree will be a good variety for me. So excited to try more of those. So that was Cessac. If you like this video, please hit subscribe and check out my website, www.figlife.com.